exciting.
We're recording.
Septimus, tell us when you're ready.
Yeah, you can go.
So I call this the token proportion of beauty. That's the name of this proposal, and it's basically I arrange it based on my common sense logic, not on a necessarily economic sense, and I chose the price for one die as an opening price because I feel it's easy to immediately get a grip on. Like if you sell something for, or you put a price or something to $1, but if you put it to 99, people just like $1 because it sounds better for some reason, marketing wise. And then the token freeze and the token thaw, I put it 26 and 52, 52 being the double of 26. I felt that it was proportionate to the freeze amount of time. Common tribute, I'm based on the original numbers that were placed here, and I felt that 50% I think was here was a little bit too much, so I narrowed it to 30%.
Can you jump to can you actually show us the modules? I think it'll help.
I can like, do you mean going back?
Yeah, just go back to the like actual bonding curve so we could see. Yeah, show us in through this. So the next, because this one makes sense, but then
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I put
Yours is broken too.
yeah, I can.
Okay, never mind then.
Where should I stay here, or should I go back to the original?
No, you can. I think going through it is good.
So yeah, so I put 30% on this because I felt 50 was too much, and for entry tribute I put 5%, and for the exit I felt that the double was a fair amount regarding the entry point, so I put 10%. And then for support required, I felt that based on the previous votations that we have had, 88 is too much. So I felt that a round number 85 it's better. And then minimum quorum 7% because it's a lucky number. Vote durations it's 7 days. Delegating voting 6. Quiet ending period 0. Quiet ending extension 0, and execution delayed 2 days because I felt that 1 day was a little bit too short for execution delay. And then spending limit, so I put 5% because then again I felt that it should be proportionate. And minimum conviction 2%. The idea of this one was to have an amount that it's I put it in the description. I cannot exactly remember the exact names that I used, but it was like, smart spending and high participation in order to have a balance. That's a justification of that one. And then conviction growth 7 days. And that's
Can you
it.
scroll down to show the table for
Sorry.
conviction voting? Sorry.
Where?
One more. The conviction voting table at the bottom. These tokens needed to pass and stuff is really interesting to check sometimes.
Okay, I have no clue, but there you go. So that will be me. Yeah.
Nice. Does anyone have any comments or any thoughts? We'll try to keep it to 1 minute because we don't have much time.
Like, what's the main intention to keep the one die? Like, and then vest it? I feel it's yeah, if we keep the same number, I would at least remove the vesting since the hatch price is the same than the. So we do not block our hatchers to do, to leave if they want. Like they can rage quit now at some price, and then they are going to be vested. And since it's going to be the same price for me, I don't know what's the thinking behind.
Of the one die?
Yeah.
I won't give you a very constructive response. For me, it was just the number that made sense to me.
Nice. Well, okay, let's dive into who wants to go next. Septimus, did you say you were ready?
Oh, this microphone. Yeah, but I will.
before-
I do not know how to. Well, let me first share screen. And
Before we pass,
oh,
I just want to know if anyone has like a constructive feedback on how it could be improved, just to understand it. If there is anything that you think would have been better.
Well, I will say that your app is actually broken. So you need to clear the local storage. Because I couldn't really see the data I would need to see to actually say if it was good or not.
All
But I
right.
thought it was cool. I
Thank
liked your conviction voting parameters actually.
you.
okay, yeah. Yeah,
Sorry, go for it, Zep.
the thing is, like, I don't know how to go to the other tables like Edu was doing.
The back or
Yeah.
all the way down and return to configuration. Oh wow, you have like an older version or something.
I don't know, but this is not working good. Like, I do not see even the advanced parameters here. It's supposed to show, but
Do you have the correct link, right?
I think it's not like
Oh, you don't have the correct
deploy
link.
preview.
oh, I took the old
Yeah,
one.
you're
Oh
using it, that's
no.
why.
You're gonna want to save all of your descriptions, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's my
Sorry.
fault. I took it from the old place. I didn't. Yeah. Maybe someone go now and I'll go later. I'll try to make them on the new link.
I can
Who
go.
wants? Okay, yeah, take it.
I just gotta share my screen. All right. So I guess I can go to the quick config here just to explain things. So I set an opening price of 145 with pretty long token freezes and thaws, 20-week freeze and an 80-week thaw. So my justification for that was with the hatch ratio being 1-1 for the hatch, the opening price should be marginally higher. Should still allow new entrants at a reasonable price point. Relatively short, I guess, token freeze period compared to the originals, and a long total freeze for around 2 years. So it should give the TEC plenty of time to start moving along and getting proposals passed, all that kind of stuff. So really a proposal to allow a decent entry point higher than the hatch, and yeah, enough time to get going basically. So for the bonding curve here, I have a commons tribute of 60%. So I'm really making sure that we have a good pool of funds for actionable proposals. Entry tribute of 8% and an exit tribute of 12. So generally a 20-ish% total. So we want funds to be allocated to the funding pool. That's my simple justification. We want to make sure that there's an amount here that is going to pass proposals and make things happen. So while the percentages may seem high to some, participants should be adequately supportive of the TEC mission, and 8% should be reasonable to have to folks that are aligned with the mission. The exit tribute is higher for the same reason. So kind of similar justification there. And then for the Tau voting settings, I put a slight supermajority, so 60% with a minimum quorum of 5%, vote duration of 5 days, delegated voting period of 4 days, a quiet ending period of 2, and an extension of 1 with an execution delay of 2 days. I also kind of thought 1 day is a little bit short, so my strategy here, a small super majority for required support. I'm unsure if quorum should be lower or not to ensure proposals can pass, but the TEC so far has been very engaged, so I think 5% is reasonable and achievable. I lowered the vote periods for responsiveness so that we can make sure if there's something that we want to pass quickly, we can. And given that extensions are possible, so if it's a contentious vote, there can be extensions. I made sure that there were quiet periods here. So then the two-day delay to ensure the TC has time to audit proposal execution and we don't end up with a comp style issue. My conviction voting settings, I put a spending limit of 12%, minimum conviction of 0.5 and 7 days. So pretty close to the default settings. I said no proposal should be able to claim a massive amount. So it's just over 12%, I think is reasonable. And relatively simple conviction voting parameters. Didn't see a huge need for a huge change there. So, and my submission title is pretty simple: support the TEC funds for proposals and disincentivizing speculators.
Nice. Anyone have any comments? Got about 1 minute for comments.
Oh, like mine is all about incentivizing speculators. Like they are going to fund or fund or common pool with the entry and exit tribute. Like, what's the like?
It does make sense. It makes sense. I can see that vision. I understand it.
I like your conservative approach and the logic of funding for proposals. I didn't thought about it, but I think, yeah, I like the optimistic approach while being conservative about it.
Thank you.
What was the reserve ratio for the bonding curve? If you go back to the bonding curve.
Oh yeah, yes.
You have to actually. %. Cool. Not bad. Nice.
But I think the reserve ratio is broken.
Is it? What happens if you change the opening price? Does it change the reserve ratio? Oh, no, it's changing.
Oh, okay.
It's just you. So,
Yeah, like probably your computer still have like old data there, because like I tried to reproduce your error, and probably like if you reset or something like that probably will work, because I tried many things for anyway to try to reproduce it.
I'll try to fix it.
does anyone have a time? Does anyone have a proposal that they want to show off and something that they can't be late for after this call? Because we can go a little bit long, but I want to prioritize someone who can't. Okay, cool. Then who wants to go next?
I can take it.
Take it.
Yeah, let me share my screen.
And does anyone else have a proposal that they want to show off? Lauren, you don't? No?
I wanna share some of my thoughts too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
After
cool. Then I'll queue you up after Zefty.
Okay, that's the first one, right? Yeah,
That's first.
I chose like a very conservative opening price, like 80% for the hatchers, and actually very token freeze and token sow, like, because on this strategy I really want to focus on incentivizing speculators, but we don't want the hatchers to be the speculators. We want the people from outside, or hatchers could speculate, but with new money, not the one like it's baking our systems, and just not to broke the economy. That's why I was very restrictive with the token freeze and token sow, and a modest opening price. So the intention is to run this common for a long time. So that's the biggest intention on those. And then I wanted to be a very bigger common tribute. Like I was feeling like 40% was. I that's where I'm not so sure, but I also wanted to have a high reserve ratio. I want some balance in the, like, I don't right now fully understand like the full system, but I feel like it's very important to have like both percentage with a pretty safe just not to the economy to be sustainable, but
What is the reserve ratio? For some reason, I can't read it.
It's 39, 24.
Nice. Thanks.
And yeah, and then the entry tribute and the exit tribute are low because the intention is like people feel free to speculate with the token, and even if it's low, but then if there is a lot of transactions, it will. And actually, it's not a lot too. Like 1% every time you're doing a trade, and 2.5. I feel it's still a good amount. And if we have a high volume of trading, it will help us. And then for the top voting, I really went from the hatch params params we have. I mean we are using them not that much, but I feel like they're when we need to pass something quick, it's possible. Even with the commons, it's going to be a bit harder than it's in the hatch because more tokens are going to be there, and not like the whales are going to lose some weight. But that's okay, that's cool, and I really feel comfortable with those, and I feel keep going with them. And I really don't like the mechanic of quiet ending and extending period. Like if someone votes at the last, like I don't know, like why should they do that? But if they do that, I don't know, it's okay. Like we should come with that, and and do not make like votes longer. And we have CLS for something like if something we need to dispute, we can do it. And then on the spend limit and conviction growth, I was keeping on the strategy of making, like, for example, like the intention is like maybe someone for their project, maybe they need like I don't know 8% of this of the common pool, let's say, but it's okay. Like they could just ask twice, and then we enforce accountability when asking funds. Like if you give all the funds in once, I feel like that can be dangerous. So I know like making proposals like very often might feel exhausting sometimes, but I feel like it helps to bring accountability to the DAO. So, and honestly, I feel like making proposal, when you're asking for money, it's not like this big of a deal. Like it's like compared to the real work, is not that much, and you keep accountable to the community, and which is for me more important. And that's it. I didn't touch the advanced parameters yet. It was just those. I would love to hear feedback from you guys.
Wow, great parameter sets. I really like the conviction voting too. I like the curve. You found a way to get a good curve where it's like if you're asking for more money, it changes. It's good.
Thanks.
Anyone have any comments?
What about the common pool? Go ahead.
I can comment on anything, but I was going to comment on I really like quiet ending extension. I think it's a really useful thing. Because it's like if somebody really wanted a vote to go one way and had like a beefy amount of tokens, they could just wait till the very last second, then like flip the vote, and then it goes through, and then you're like, too bad. And like I think the DAO voting parameters are like really important because they can change the parameters of the commons. They change like fundamental things about the DAO. So I think it would be like maybe these votes take a little longer if we're adding like extensions and extensions and extensions, but ultimately I think it's like better to be safe than sorry when we're talking about like changing things that affect the entire commons.
Yeah, that's
Can
true.
you go to the DAO voting?
Yeah.
Because on that, I also wanted to say something about delegated voting as well. That like it's nice to have some kind of distance between delegated voting and vote duration, because that way if you don't like how your delegate voted, you can change it.
Yeah, those are very good feedback.
Wow, I didn't even consider that. That's really interesting. I also. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I also am a little bit supportive of having the quiet period. I mean, for the reasons that Lauren mentioned, but also from the communication side, not everybody hears about the vote at the same time. So like, if there's someone who maybe has a strong opinion and didn't hear about it until halfway through the vote period, for example, or maybe a day or two into it, and they have to review everything and they want to vote against it, I think having that extension for people to come back and consider it is kind of important. But I do like a lot of your parameters that are very different than mine as well, though, Zepti. I do like the proposal in general. Great work.
Yeah, 3.5% spread for the free market versus the bonding curve is really interesting too. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Do you want to show the bonding curves up?
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah, you were on it. The entry and exit tributes being really small, like going for more often they'll be triggered than like bigger tributes. Anybody have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is cool. I think it's. I always put the exit tribute higher because I want people to come in and get stuck. No, but I think it's really cool to like encourage the speculators. It's just like increasing burning and minting, and then like more funds more frequently going to the pools. I think that this is an interesting, and these are interesting parameters. And when people put different things, like I wouldn't have picked 1% and 2.5%. I would have picked like higher for the exit tribute and a little higher for the entry tribute. So, but I think it's cool because it's making me consider that it might be better.
Yeah, and on this regard, I think like if you had a really small entry tribute, you might maybe even add a pressure to like speculators get in, and while they're in, like they hope that the price goes up because the exit tribute is like higher, and then they can do this like risk expecting to go up. So I think might have a like more optimistic effect in the speculators' behavior.
That's awesome feedback.
I have a point on just in the conviction voting. That just the conviction growth, like it's 3 days, right? Just that maybe like it takes too little to have like your full convictions and proposals, and people might like change it too fast between them.
Oh, can you repeat that?
Like your conviction growth is like 3 days, right?
Yeah.
So like in 3 days, if you change your proposal, like in 3 days you'll have like 50% of the conviction in that. So like in kind of first, like people do not get too much penalized for like changing too fast between proposals. That was be my comment on that.
Oh, but I didn't know about the change. Like, people is going to be change. Like, they can change the proposal when they propose.
The when they're voting, right? So like no, I think that was only the point, because like if you like add a small conviction growth, then it would take small time to make conviction growth to 100%. That's just the point. Then I can like I
see.
can just change the proposal and go. And if it's like higher, then like say like 2 weeks, for example, then I will end up having more value for staying there more time.
To stay more. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Cool. Does anyone else have a proposal to propose? Wonka, you had something, right?
Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah, I think like it would be good to start with a high opening price. Like 3. Why? Because I feel that otherwise it would be really easy to like, yeah, I don't know, buy a lot of governance just by adding funds. And I think that if we start with a high opening price, maybe we can take care more of the governance that was very well distributed and worked before the commons upgrade, and with the distribution that we did for the hatch. And yeah, a token freeze of 27 weeks, a token thaw of 105 weeks. And yeah, most of these numbers are like multipliers of 3. I don't know. I like to use like just one constant in the choosing of the parameters.
There was a bug where the exit tribute was the same as the commons tribute last week. What did you actually set the exit tribute at? I assume you didn't set it for 33%.
Oh yeah, that would have been 15%.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 15%. And yeah, on the disputable voting, I didn't change much. I just made the numbers like match of two multipliers of 3 from the initial parameters, from the ones that are shown in the dashboard. And yeah, in the conviction growth, I chose 6 days with a spending limit of 24% and a minimum conviction of 0.6%.
Nice. Any comments? I'll start with, like, I saw that you put 3 hours in there for the execution delay. How come you did that? What were your thoughts there?
Oh, maybe I meant 3 days.
Oh,
And
okay.
I chose wrong the numbers.
Or it might have been a bug in the GitHub issue. If you made this last week, then there was a lot going on there. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But my most polemic and proposal is to have a high initial opening price.
Anybody have any thoughts?
Don't you feel like the hatchers just sell because X3? I don't know, maybe tentative. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it might be tentative, but that way we can be completely sure of who thinks that having governance in the organization is more valuable than um, changing and having money for some time. Yeah.
I can't wait to see this version in the actual application, like, and see what it looks like. I'm especially. I think the reserve ratio with the initial buy will be much lower, and so I don't think 3 will quite. I think it's going to be a little too high because there'll be like some major slippage on. It'll just be like a really poorly funded bonding curve. But we'll see. We'll see how you do with the commons tribute. Maybe that can be adjusted and it can work out. But because right now in this version it doesn't have. It has $300 extra $1,000 basically.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. But yeah, my proposal is to start with a high opening price. Maybe just like from 2 to 3. I think it would be interesting. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Does anyone else have any comments on Wonkas, or do they want to present their params? Lauren, you look like you want to present your params.
No, I don't have any params to present. I was just like messing with bugs, but I would love to just like everybody picked a really different spending limit. Like I think Wonka was like around 30%. Zefty had like 6%. Chris had like 12%. And I would love if we could just like talk about why you picked these spending limits or like different perspectives of it. Because I'm like,
I'd love to, because mine is inspired by a previous project that is very similar. So I can post some links, but the Proof of Weak Hands 3D was one of the initial early bonding curve projects, and it had a tax on buys and sells of 10%. So And I just checked the contract, and it still has over 3,000 ether still sitting in the contract. So enough people with enough ether, or maybe some of those people lost their keys, true too. But like enough ether, at its peak, it had 81,000 ether in it at a 10% buy and sell tax. So I don't think it's unreasonable even for speculators to jump in at a tax of 10%. So for me, when I was talking about going to kind of disincentivize them a little, I went even a little higher for that with the 12% exit tribute. So yeah, that was kind of my basis, and still kind of maxing out at a 20% total buy and sell. So I can post the wiki and the Etherscan contract page if you guys want to explore that. I'll just drop that in the Params channel. But yeah, that's where mine came from.
So what I'm hearing is we need to like Ponzi this baby and like really say proof of token engineering, proof of weak token engineers. You know, like how strong are your hands, token engineers? Get in here, FOMO in. It's the marketing, cultural build. Well, actually, but I think Lauren was talking about spending limit more than the tributes. And
my bad. My bad.
No, it was also still interesting. I was like, that's cool. But yeah, I was talking about the spending limit, like the percentage of the common pool funds that can be requested by any single proposal.
So I definitely like this idea of a low spending limit, mostly because I really like this curvature. And I'm trying to play with the params to get a good curvature, you know? Because like otherwise requesting, you know, $10, well, let's see, like it's like here's a requesting $1,000 will will require, you know, $104,000 here, or 104,000 tokens, and requesting 5 times as much only costs like 20% more tokens, you know? And that's even with these strong parameters. Like if you make it 0.5 and a spending limit of like 20, it's like the difference is almost negligible. Look, because okay, so this chart, it shows like how many tokens exist are all the same for every scenario, right? But in odd scenarios, the common pool only has $100,000, and in even scenarios, the common pool has 700, has $750,000 in it, right? And then in scenarios 1 and 2, it's requesting $1,000. Scenarios 3 and 4, it's asking for 5,000. Scenarios 5 and 6, it's asking for 25,000. So you can kind of see the difference in the minimum tokens needed to pass, right? And then the tokens needed to pass. And it's like when you have a really high spending limit, it almost doesn't matter. I think this one is like on the extreme. You can see like when you're asking for, this is asking for 25% of the common pool, it actually shouldn't even, I think this is broken. This shouldn't even be possible. But either way, it's like this is the only one when you're asking for 25% of this of the pool. When like if you look at this chart, like it's basically flat. Whether you're asking for $1 or 5% of the common pool, it's like it's not even off the green line. You know, the difference in tokens is almost nothing. So the two ways to adjust that are lowering the spending limit. That kind of like makes it a little bit harder, makes some more variety. Although I think this is broken right now. But still, it adds, you know, it makes some curvature and gives some variety there. But what really changes it is this minimum conviction. Like it really like gives it more, makes it harder to pass small proposals, but also makes the variableness strong. And then like spending limit, the real question is like, hey, if we have, you know, in the end, you probably can divide the spending limit in half, and that's what most of the proposals will shoot for. So like 2.5% of the funding pool, is that enough? I don't know. Those are my thoughts on spending limit.
Yeah, I also
Yeah.
had. Oh,
No, exactly.
I was also going to say like also like the small spending limit because even if when you need to request for a bigger amount of funds, you can ask twice, and the second time you're asking for them, you have to show the community the results with the first one. So that helps to keep the community accountable. Yeah, that was my main reason behind a low spending limit.
Makes sense. It's interesting, and it's interesting like bumping up also like the minimum conviction to like 5%. It's I've always thought like, oh, it should be super low because like really small proposals should have the ability to pass. But yeah, 5%. It looks it looks it's nicer that like larger proposals actually need like more participation, and then you want to have like a more gradual curve. So I think that's like cool justification.
Yeah, I was also thinking like 5% is a nice number to prevent like people just to like you gather some friends and then you make stuff. I mean, I know we have less, but it's not also the intention to be used. Yeah, like to avoid this kind of weird mechanics, like where people just go 3 or 4, make something pass, and
I want to bring up one other topic before we call it, since I don't think anyone else has a proposal to show off, right? One thing I'm thinking about is the entry and exit tributes, and whether or not, so like, how are people really going to use this economy? Will people actually use our bonding curve to buy and sell tokens, or will they just go buy it on HoneySwap? Now, I think with Septimus's proposal, you could just go to the bonding curve, and it's more fun. You're never gonna see slippage issues, and because, well, I mean, you'll see a little bit, but whatever is naturally there. And then also you know that you're funding public goods while you're like interacting. There's like warm fuzzy feelings, and the fee is small. But if you have like a 10% spread with the entry plus exit tribute, or more, then people aren't going to use the bonding curve. They're going to go to the market. And so now the question is, okay, so when the market's fluctuating up, when do we want the arbitrage bots basically to start start triggering the bonding curve to mint and sell and burn tokens so they can do arbitrage on the free market? And I'm wondering, under that scenario, like, should we have the entry tribute higher so that the market price is higher than it is on the bonding curve more often? Like, effectively we'll have like the market price will be floating between the tributes, and if the exit tribute is higher than the entry tribute, then more often than not the market price will be lower than it is on the bonding curve. And if the entry tribute is higher than the bonding curve price, the bonding curve price, then, if the entry tribute is higher than the exit tribute, then most of the time the market price will be higher than the bonding curve price. And I'm wondering if there's like a psychological thing there of like, oh, the market likes it more than, the bonding curve price. And like just seeing the price on the market higher than what it is on the bonding curve, if that would be like more psychologically healthy for our community, basically.
that's a very interesting point of view. Like, think how the speculators will think, and I also think it's going to be interesting. Like, yeah, almost on every proposal we were putting the exit tribute higher, and I had this also feeling that Lauren was saying, like, like, okay, you're exiting, now you pay. Like, it's like, but yeah, maybe, yeah, it's an interesting point of view, like for the how the psychology of humans affects, like if the entry tribute is lower.
And also the entry tribute is what's going to be used a lot at the beginning, not the exit tribute. So maybe if we had the entry tribute kind of high, we'd end up with more funds early on in the common pool. More people will be buying than selling early on. It only equalizes when the hatchers can sell their tokens, and then
Yeah.
anyway. Okay, well, I'm gonna call it, guys. Thank you so much for helping us beta test this software, and it was fun. Matt, did you have any comments? I mean, threw you into the deep end here.
Yeah, I'm just here getting fire hosed. No, I thought it was really cool. I got through like half of the how-tos. They're like really well written, so I understand half of what's going on up from zero. But yeah, I thought it was like really interesting how different the models were. Like some are really conservative, some are really liberal, and like I was thinking about like the how-to was like, oh, set the exit strategy higher than the entrance, and then you start see them like get closer together. It encourages speculation, and like what if inevitably someone's going to take this and like flip it or do some weird stuff with it that like you guys haven't intended. Like I was just kind of curious what those models look like because someone's this, you know what I mean?
Totally. No, there's always some interesting creative ideas. Like there's a fee on submitting proposals before, and Zeptimus was like saying we should get it lower so that people will use it for like advertising to put their proposals up, like encourage the spam.
Yeah, yeah. Like you don't know what this will become once people, yeah, sort of like I don't know, monetize or I don't know, whatever.
And Vi, did you have any comments or anything? You didn't get a chance to really talk. 5IV?
I'm just absorbing the information, trying to see. Do like what's the different approaches everyone has to the parameters? And yeah, I agree with a few. I probably make my own parameters and share them. Maybe is there going to be like a vote for this?
Sorry, can you say that last part again?
Is there going to be a vote for these params, right?
Yeah, we're going to use token log again, like we did for the hatch. And then I think we'll use snapshot for the runoff. So when we have the last 3 to 5 parameters, then we'll actually put it all on snapshot because it's a little more accessible for people, for like the larger community. But yeah, we will start voting probably in the next week. Well, the vote happens at the same time as submitting it. So yeah, we'll actually you'll actually be able to vote right away. So that'll start next week. We'll actually be submitting the real parameters because this still is buggy, as you can see. There's still some bugs, so it's not ready for like your final parameterization. And Pedro, did you have any comments or anything you want to say before we close it out?
No, man, I'm fine. I'm just here to collect the feedbacks and see what are the bugs and this kind of stuff.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you all for hanging out, and I'll see you on Sunday if you want to come to the hack session. We'll do another one of these. It'll be around the same time on Sunday. So, see you guys.
Thank you, guys.
See you later.
Bye.